Hey everyone, my name is David Dunbar, or the theme park evangelist. So, in honor of National Red Day, or Wear Red Day, I should say, my work is actually allowing me and everybody else to wear an appropriate red shirt, which I'm just wearing a red polo shirt because I figure it's more appropriate than wearing a red t shirt, and my blue jeans, and I'm finally wearing my sneakers to work for like the first time. I actually will have comfortable feet today instead of my feet going, oh, so much pain because I'm wearing my black shoes. But honestly, I would, if I'm gonna come to work dressed professionally, then I should dress professionally all the way, and that's just how I see it. So, finally, going to continue my YouTube series on life as a working Disney cast member. First of all, I should note that today is February the 7th, Friday, February the 7th, week before Valentine's Day. I am officially 16 days away from my trip to Central Florida. Yay! So, yeah, just stay tuned, guys. Not too much longer until I head down there and give you guys a week worth of excitement. TJ is very, very excited about being back on YouTube, and we have so much to show you guys. I'm gonna blow up my YouTube channel with all kinds of videos. Hopefully, I can get over 100 subscribers. Definitely gonna bring all my electronic needs for that week, because goodness knows I'm gonna need it. Anyway, let us continue on with my life as a working Disney cast member YouTube series that almost everybody's probably forgotten about, and I haven't because I just haven't had the time to work on it, to be honest. In fact, this is my first YouTube video in who knows how long. I've just been that busy. Either I just sleep in really late and don't get around to it, or who knows. My schedule is constantly changing, so yeah, you just gotta keep up with me, or just gotta bear with me, I should say, is really what I was looking for. So, if I'm not mistaken, the next chapter is um, slow days and busy days at Disney's Hollywood Studios. And more or less what that whole chapter is all about is once I kind of got settled into working at Disney's Hollywood Studios, I started getting used to the slow days and the busy days. Of course, every theme park at Disney is going to be busy and slow at one point. Now, Disney's Hollywood Studios hasn't always been the Disney's Hollywood Studios we currently know, which has Star Wars Galaxy's Edge and Toy Story Land, and the upcoming Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway that I've noticed that pass holders have already been able to get passes for, which is absolutely crazy. So, when I first started there, sorry, trying to adjust my arm there. Yeah, when I first started there, back a few years ago, 2017, none of that really was around. Now, Toy Story Land, I believe, was either being constructed at the time or was just an idea at the time. There also was the construction going on for Galaxy's Edge, if I'm not mistaken, but I cannot remember. All I remember is Hollywood Studios really was a nothing park at the time when I first started back 3 years ago. So pretty much all you could do back then was go eat something, ride the Tower of Terror, ride Rock and Roller Coaster, ride the Great Movie Ride. Yes, I worked at Hollywood Studios before the Great Movie Ride closed, so I get to tell you guys what it was like to work there when the Great Movie Ride used to exist. It was very cool. I'm glad I got to be part of Hollywood Studios before the Great Movie Ride closed to the public. And so, I'm working there at the time, and pretty much, of course, the main attraction to be at the time was the Great Movie Ride. I didn't know this until I worked at Toy Story Land. In what year was it? Oh, yeah. Early 2019, I met somebody that did work at the Great Movie Ride. He was part of the closing team. And I could tell he worked at the Great Movie Ride because of his announcer voice. Now, I've been on the Great Movie Ride many times, so I can tell you right now that I more than likely saw him as a one of the main people that you first see when you first get on the ride. Because you always had those guys that had the Great Movie Ride name tag like right here. And he told us some really cool backstage secrets. I'm not sure if I should be sharing them, so probably not. So I'm just going to say this right now. He was just one of the main guys. They say he was not a bank robber, or gangster, I should say, and he was not a cowboy. He was the main guy at the very beginning. And considering how many of those guys I've seen over the years operate the ride, I'm quite impressed I even remembered him. I guess I have a very photographic memory, to be honest. But yeah, pretty much even when it was slow, I still always bumped into people that were going over the Great Movie Ride. I worked at Min and Bell's Dockside Diner, which was pretty much right in front of the Great Movie Ride. Now, I'm going to skip over all of my training because that's boring. We don't need to talk about it. So, I don't remember if that was supposed to even be a video or not. I have to go back and look at my laptop and look through my notes. As far as I know, no, it was not supposed to be a video. I really didn't want to talk about it because it's boring and there's too much detail. And I figure I'd just get to the exciting part. So yeah, I remember just standing in front of the Chinese theater, so to speak. Min and Bell's, of course, faces the Chinese theater, and I'd be just watching the guests kind of go back and forth. Because you had the Frozen sing along celebration right over here, and kind of this area, and then I guess you could say that Echo Lake was kind of right over here too. Well, we were kind of the front of the of Echo Lake, so the boat was literally, or Echo Lake was literally right behind us. I guess you could say. I mean, we were at the front of it. I have to check my watch every now and then. I'm trying to make sure I stay on track because I want to make sure that I do get to packing my lunch fairly soon. I'm trying to wait until close to the time I have to go to brush the snow off my car because of the fact that if I try to do it now, all the snow is going to dump right back on my car again. If it wasn't snowing, I say, what the heck? I'm just going to go out there now. But it's snowing pretty hard out there, so I'm just going to wait it out. Even though I'm expecting a phone call, so. Anyway, right, let's get back to it. I used to watch a show called Disney Movie Magic, and I also would watch the fireworks display. When I closed, I heard this 3 nights a week, to the point where I had it memorized. Very frustrating. And I could literally quote it. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. But it's just one of those things you have to deal with when you work in the theme park industry. It's like, yeah, it is what it is. But I got to learn all kinds of like alcoholic drinks. I met all kinds of cool guests. I learned how to make all kinds of different hot dogs. It was kind of fun walking through the theme park and watching the balloon people selling little kids balloons. Well, really the adults the balloons and give it to the kids. And watching people buy popcorn. I loved the cast member break area because it was the best theme break area I've ever seen. It was completely dedicated to the park. I hope it always will be. And that's as best as I will say. Or well, I should say that's as much as I'm going to say about the break area. So I thought that was really cool. I think one of the slowest days I've ever had at Hollywood Studios, personally, was there was this one day I was working at Men and Bell's Dockside Diner, and it was pouring rain, and I was just standing there in this area where we normally have guests come up and get their food and beverages after you purchase them at the cashier or cash register just before us. And we're just watching the rain pour, and we're just watching guest goes run back and forth. It was kind of fun. And I'm just thinking to myself, I am so bored right now. And of course, the only way for the cashiers to get from where they were, which was underneath an awning, to the boat, was to run underneath the awning, go run around the corner, and then run through the door. Well, open it first, obviously. You don't want to run into the door. And then you were inside. So we had the best luck. We also had the restroom, so that was great. I mean, I couldn't complain too much. If I had to use a restroom, I had a restroom. If I wanted something to drink, I had something to drink. One of the main benefits about working in food and beverage was you got free soda and water and coffee, hot chocolate, Powerade anytime you wanted. Oh yeah, lemonade too. I can't forget that. It wasn't the greatest lemonade, but hey, it is what it is. We had to make sure we had to do it discreetly because of the fact that we didn't want the guests to know, go, that's not fair, look at all the money I'm paying out. We could only do this when we were on the clock. It's not like we could just walk up to this place when we weren't on the clock and go, can I get a free drink? And they would say, you know, it's just one of those situations. So, yeah, it was fun times. Another one of those situations I really thought was hilarious, and it was a really slow day. Even though it's been a few years, I was over at Oasis Canteen. Now, before I tell you the story, Oasis Canteen is literally right next to Indiana Jones Epic Spectacular. We used to call it Epic for short. Epic. I don't know what I was saying originally. It was so fast. And here's the catch with Epic. We would have to wait for that show to dump every single time we wanted it to be really busy. Because, you know, it was kind of steady normally. During the holidays, it was always busy, but whenever that show dumped, we were extremely busy. And we mainly specialized in funnel cakes, and we also had ice cream cones, we had root beer floats, we had Coke floats, we had Sunkist floats, I guess you could say. We had limited alcohol. I must admit, the boat or Oasis, Minabelle's Dockside Diner had a lot more alcohol. So normally I would just say, I just go over there, you know. Okay. But yeah, it was kind of fun being at Oasis Canteen. We didn't have a restroom or anything, so we would have to walk over to the boat, especially if it was raining. We had to find some way to cover ourselves up like a trash bag or something. It's like, run for it! But the story I really want to tell you guys was one time I was at Oasis Canteen when it was pouring rain. There was a really bad electrical storm, and we were also right next to the Frozen Sing-Along celebration as well. Don't forget that show used to be American Idol Experience, and before that was Doug Live, so just keep that in mind. And all these just guests were standing there, huddled underneath the shelter, and all this lightning was going around, and I still saw this one guest running to a stroller in the middle of the pouring rain with the lightning, and he was barefoot. And I'm thinking to myself, really, dude? Do you really trust Disney that much that you're willing to run to your stroller in the middle of the pouring rain, especially when there's lightning? Are you kidding me right now? I mean, it's not something I would necessarily do, but I'll tell you this right now. Even if I did have flip-flops, which more than likely he obviously did, I would not take them off. Even if it were pouring rain. I must admit it's easier to run in the rain that way, but I wouldn't trust Disney ground as far as I can throw it, which I obviously can't, so therefore I wouldn't take your shoes off if I were you. When it's busy, Oasis Canteen usually gets a line all the way out to Echo Lake over by Gertie the Dinosaur. Gertie the Dinosaur was planted right next to Oasis Canteen for a reason, I think, to serve as a backup for ice cream in the event that we're like really busy. That place was seasonal, so if it was really busy, they were open. If we weren't so busy, they weren't usually open. Because I remember a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, no, I'm just kidding. Well, many years ago as a child, I always thought that would be a cool place to go to. I never really thought about Oasis Canteen too much, which is interesting because that one's old too. But it is what it is. And Oasis Cantina is by far the best funnel cake. So I just also thought it was hilarious when people would buy funnel cake, and I was a cashier a lot of the times. And actually, it's because of Disney that I'm really good at being a cashier, because Disney taught me to be a cashier, and it still shows to this day. And you would have these guests coming up, and you have this wind blowing in your face, and you could barely hear them. So you had to stick your head out the window, like, what? It was kind of funny. But, they would order funnel cakes, even for their kids, and we're trying to exploit them. These are pretty big funnel cakes. I don't care if you sell me the funnel cake, fine. So, yeah, good times, good times. And as far as the other plays, it got busy, but the only time it really stressed me out was when I was on counter. And I had to try to get a system down because when I was filling drinks, I would try to go as fast as I can, like put a little bit of ice in because I would like stick my ice thing in to the ice and then stick it in the drink, and I would fill it up and put it down, put a lid on it, put it where it needs to go, and I just kind of keep the system going. Usually I did pretty well, but sometimes I just fall a little behind and someone had to come and take over. I think they felt like I was a little better at the other side where I was just grabbing trays in hand to the guests that needed it. But busy days were by far the hardest. My hand was getting tired there. Oh my goodness. The busy days were the hardest. I think cashiering, I didn't struggle as badly because I got so good at counting money backwards that it became like secondhand nature, you could say. And to the point where even though it had been a few years since I had done it, I found it pretty easy to get right back into it again. It's like, oh yeah, I know how to do this. I've done this many times. When I say count backwards, so for example, you give a guest $80. So you're not just gonna say here's $80, you're gonna go 20, 40, 60, 80. And then like you always start from the bottom. Or if someone had like 56.24, you're going to say here's 24 cents, and then you're going to say 6, and then you're going to go 20, uh, 40. I unless I have it in front of me, I cannot do it. But normally what you do is you start with the smallest bills, then you work your way up to the largest bills, and just kind of keep working your way up until and you always count each bill and adding it to whatever you had last until you get to the grand total, and then you make sure you tell them the exact amount when you hand it to them. It would be so much easier if I could actually have like Monopoly money and that I could show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. But in the long run, I find it very easy to do it. I just can't do it unless I actually have something. So don't just automatically assume David can't count backwards when I don't have anything to count with. So it has nothing to do with the fact that I can't count backwards. In some ways, I'm kind of asking myself why I even started doing that in the first place, to be honest. Well, I hope you guys found my vlog very interesting. I will have to go back and check and see what vlog is supposed to be next. I do want to talk to you guys more about why the Great Movie Ride has had such a huge impact on Hollywood studios and why the tragic loss of it made such a huge difference to Hollywood studios. But until then, I will see you guys in the next vlog. Always remember, you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Have a great day. Peace out.